to Avram Leventhal at KSY?
I think it's his grand uncle.
That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, good. Let's learn Chevra. So we're learning now. We are on the bottom. We're on top of page 14. So it's Ois Kuf Gimel 103. Noyagim lakachas matzahs kfufis me'at. The Chabad custom, when you're choosing the matzahs for the Seder plate, only for the Seder plate, is to take matzahs that are kfufos, bent, like so you have like a keli. Umanichin klape maila ke'ein beis kibul. Don't face them down, face them up so that the clay kibul is noticeable. Now, of course, this creates little hardships with keeping the items on top of the matzahs, like we discussed yesterday, not to fall off. That's why I suggested having these little plastic cups to put the items in, and maybe it'll make it a little more firm and stable. Okay, Kuf Dalit. Noyagim lahafsik. Here, Moshe, it says what I said yesterday. It's customary to make a separation b'mapa, b'matzah l'matzah. In other words, technically, according to halacha, you don't need to do that. You can put 3 matzahs one on top of the other. It is our custom to do make a separation between Kohen, Levi, Yisrael. Next, Shalosh hamatzahs and keneged shloishes hasugim b'am Yisrael. They correspond to the 3 categories Kohen, Levi, Yisrael. Noegim lahaniach l'fi Seder Harishon Yisrael. And this we do, Avi, when we put the matzah in, we take the matzah. Yisrael. Next one, we say Levi. Third one, Kohen. So the Kohen's on top. Levi's second, and Yisrael is third. And he mentions that because some people probably do a reverse order. This is the custom of Chabad. Rosh Tevis, what's the acronym for these 3? Yelech, to go. This alludes to the fact that a person is a mahalech. So it's interesting because
Kohen's on top.
Kohen's a cup, but if you were to have the Kohen on the bottom and the Levi middle and the Yisrael, it would be the acronym Keli.
Yeah.
But we don't do it that way. Because, in other words, although we do it by taking the matzah that way, but we have in mind Yisrael, Levi, and Kohen on top, spelling out in an acronym Yelech rather than Keli.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
You understand? Okay. Kufav 106. The Zohar Neman in the Holy Zohar it says Hamatzah nikras b'shei michla dehem nusa. Matzah is called food of faith. Michael ho'emuna. Matzah is also called in the Zohar v'michle de asvasa. Food for healing. Michael ha'rafua. V'lochein, therefore, yeshne zgula miyuchedes, there is a specific remedy. Lachilas matzah b'Pesach, to eat matzah during Pesach, shehi mechazekes zamuna, it strengthens one's faith. Umarpas es atchuloyim b'nefesh, and it cures those who have mental illness. So here it is. You don't need to go to Yerushalayim to Rebbe to do a tikkun on you. You should just eat the matzah, and it can cure tchuloyim b'nefesh, according to the Zohar. Mommy's not here. V'lochein yesh lahadif matzah hanefis al yedei moistis rabbeseinu nisyeinu. Okay, this is a plug for buying matzah, kvar Chabad matzah, to buy matzah baked through the institutions of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is his own thing. What he's trying to say is that since matzah is a cure for mental illness, so if you get it from Lubavitch, which is associated with the Rabbeim, you have more koyach to cure the illnesses, which I'm not laughing at. I'm saying I am laughing. I apologize. I mean to say there's something to it, but it doesn't. This is his own thought, and you could take it or leave it. Okay.
I keep some matzah in my studio.
Good. Very good. So when someone comes in to buy a painting and you see he's a little mentally not stable, give him a piece of matzah. Let's go on. Shisha haminim shebekayra, the 6 minim. Kuf zayin. Es haminim shalakayra misadrim ala mapa shalamatzis. You put them on the mappa that's on the matzahs. Remember, there's a separation with a cover of sorts, a napkin, a paper, or cloth, or for that matter, a kaira, a metal kaira. In other words, you can have such a kaira if you want. Although we did learn, I don't know if I emphasized, I don't think I did, that it said that we learned at the end of page 13 that to have a silver kaira was only by the Rabbeim. So in Chabad, I don't believe they take a silver kaira. So let's go on. So he says like
in Chabad, I have a question. I sort of asked this last week, but I just want to clarify. In Chabad, do you see people? There are different types of karas on the market that you've seen. That on the top layer is a place for the different minim, and there's almost like 3 trays underneath for matzah.
That's fine.
Do people in Chabad? Do you see people in Chabad use things like that?
From what in my house, we didn't have like that, and I don't see it today. But there's nothing wrong. Why?
But let me see. In your house, do you do it like you said? You put the 3 matzahs with each one of the separation, and you set on top of it. You put in what small, like l'chaim cups, like plastic l'chaim cups.
Oh, you could do that, but the little saucers are a little broader and wider. Plastic.
But like disposable.
Yeah, disposable.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
But again, if the egg will stay better on the actual cover, then do that. The idea is that things shouldn't roll off, and you should have the 2 segels that we're going to learn about in a moment. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to the mirror, you don't want any water to seep through. Yes.
Okay, but what do you do in the parts of the Chagada where one would lift up the matzah?
We don't do it that way.
We'll do it that way.
In the Rebbe's Haggadah, you really need next week, Moshe, you got to take an hour or 2 with quiet, no phones, and you got to go through the Rebbe's Haggadah with the instructions, highlight them, and use that at the Seder, review it, and you're not getting into your head, because it goes very fast. So you'll see what it says. It says we don't lift it, we just uncover.
Yes, you're right.
Right? So and uncovering doesn't mean you have to schlep the whole matzah out, a drop.
Right.
So if you do it that way, your kaira stays fine, okay? Of course, if you're going to give a whole schlep, it's all going to go flying. You know what I'm saying? Everything has to be done with common sense. I got a kaira here. And again, the most important thing for us that we are careful about is shruya. We're very careful with the shruya, and that's like a priority for Chabad. And everything else is like almost secondary. You want to make sure that that matzah doesn't get wet, and you got to keep the wine. Don't keep it right next to the matzahs. Keep the wine further away to your right. We learned yesterday to your right, but not right next to the matzahs. One spill of a full cup of wine makes the matzahs wet, and that's shruya. Then you got to. By the way, then you're not allowed to eat that if you're keeping shruya, and you got to take a new matzah from the box.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. So he says the 6 items. Kuf Zayin, es aminim shal akaira, mesadrim al mapa shal matzah b'tzura shal shnei segels. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the way it lays out. Okay, so you have to somehow create that on top of your 3 matzahs. Okay. Move it to the right, move it to the left, move it this way, but try to create, and again here, don't it should look like a segel, but if it's not perfectly look like a segel, it's fine. But that's the kavanah, and that's what you should try to create as best as possible. And he says, mitzad yamin is the charoises, mitzad hashmol is the karpas, v'shuv tachteim under be'ebtzah morer, the morer is the middle, and the salad, and the charein. Okay, you all will look at that, and you all know that. Kuf ches. Harebio yemaniach es aminim atzmal ha'mapa shel ha'matzes. Okay, so here he tells you that the Rebbe put all the 6 items on a mappa, on a mappa that's directly on the moxes. V'lo hiniach shum kelim tachteyan. Gam loy mapis. Hold on. What's the difference in Hebrew between a mappa and a mapis? Does anyone know? You understand? What's a mapis?
It's like Soviet. I'm not sure.
Let's learn a little further. Wait. Gamma sacharosis, which is not yet mixed with wine. You see, our custom, Moshe, is not to put in the wine into the charosis until when you need to use the charosis. Because this way, it's still not wet. Because if you put it in and it's wet, it can seep through to the matzah. So you don't do that till later. When you take the charosis off to use, to dip into, then you put some wine into it. That's what he says here.
That would be,
what?
That would be right before we're about to use the charosis.
Correct. וגם הסחרייסס הניח על המפה במקומה ולא הניח מפיס הניר תחתיה. Okay, so what he's saying here, Moshe, is that the Rebbe did it not the way I suggested before. The Rebbe actually put each item on the cover that separates it from the matzah. He didn't put into a l'chaim glass or a separate napkin. He didn't do that. That's what he did.
Say again, I'm sorry.
What I had suggested is that I had said not to put the items directly on the cover, separating the matzah from the items. Right? According to what I said earlier, it was better to put either in a plastic disposable the items, and that should go on top of the cover. Right? Is that clear? Right? He says the Rebbe didn't do it that way. The Rebbe put it directly on top without a disposable item. He put the egg directly on the mappa.
Okay. What about charosas?
He says that he did it with charosas too because he didn't have wine, so it was like mortar. So there was nothing wet that would go. That's what he says.
But even the mallow must have been dry.
Wait, look further. You dry the mortar b'mapios with napkins, libanias shashruya. You dry it very well and you put it on top. He says this is the way the Rebbe did it. I used to do it this way for years. I don't know, but this is the way the Rebbe did it. So now it's, if you can accomplish that, you dry well your mortar, your romaine lettuce, you should do it this way. If you can't do that, then you should put something under the romaine lettuce. Okay, Kuftes. After he organized his kaira, he would then say, Simmons, he would read the words that it says in the Haggadah. Simmons, Seder shel Pesach. This is the sign of the organization of Pesach. Kadesh Urchatz Kapet Yachad Magad Rochza Moitzi Matzah Morer Keirach Shulchan Neurach Tzofim Beirach Halal Nirtza. K'moy came b'chol pam shegieh b'mahalach HaSeder. Wherever he came to a place in the Seder where there was instructions what to do, L'mokim shemaschil b'simcha chodesh. In the Haggadah, there are places where a new order begins. Amar es hasimin, he would say, Karpas. You'll take out your Haggadah, you'll see, usually in bold words, the simin. Here begins Karpas. Here begins Yachatz. So the Rebbe would actually say, Karpas, and then go. Yachatz, and then go. Begam over as kol halachas. This is something we don't do, but the Rebbe, I think, most. the Rebbe would actually read the halachas that are brought in the Haggadah. That were relevant to that part of the Seder. So when it says Yachatz, there's instruction what to do. He would read the instruction. He says, Kolo Amiris Halolu. All of this reading of his was belachash, was silently. He wasn't to the public. But he did, you could see him, his mouth, reading it. Okay, we go on. All the types that are eaten at the Seder, we take from the actual kaira. In other words, you don't go into the kitchen to get an onion or a potato and eat from that. You use the onion and potato. If you don't have enough, if you have a lot of people, of course you have to take others. But preferably, everyone should get a little piece from the onion or the karpas that's on the Seder plate. There are some that have a custom to have the items on the kaira yonis and remain there, not touch them. It's like a museum display. And take from the table. He says, we don't do that. No. You know, it's very nice. You have a nice kaira, it looks very nice, and you know, you want to keep it there. You know, we're on display tonight. Okay, 15. Hakavana ba'omerhi. What's the reason? If it's not just to make a seder with the kaira in front of you, elagam l'chol amasubim. It's all for all the participants. Hainu sheyesh laniach al kaira l'machatchila kama shehispel kol amasubim. That's why what he's saying is, this is interesting. You should put enough of the items on the kaira, enough for the all the people around. But I mean, I can't imagine one egg is enough for everyone. You're going to put 2-3 eggs. You shouldn't do that. That's not what you should do. You know, I guess if you can give everyone a little slice of the egg as something from the kaira plate, that's best. And the same is, by the way, later with the korach and the matzah and all that. I remember my father used to always give us and give when we were children, and my mother, Alel Shalom, you know, a little piece from, because he needed most of it to eat for the shear. And he gave that to them, to a piece from his seder, from his, and then he took from the bag, from the matzah bag, others for them. Okay. But again, let's say, you know, you have any other males at the table and they have their own kaira, so there's more, you know what I'm saying? But the wife should get from the husbands, you know, the children, whatever, you know, if not, if Usher has his kaira, I'm sure he'll have a kaira, so he can also share some if need be. It's not the end of the world. But of course, it's better from the father, you know, the father of the home. There's no loss here, just a feeling, you know. Okay, v'in ein maspik l'kulim makayra eirech ha-seder yitin chol ha-musum tzas makayra v'yishlimu tzas matzad. That's what I just said. Look in the brackets. The Rebbe Marash, the fourth Rebbe of Lubavitch, he would distribute karpas amora mishaloi of his l'noshim to the women. Even to the relatives. In other words, he gave not only his wife and daughters, he also gave the relatives. Okay. Zraya b'tzad yamin l'maylo. So now he begins, the zraya, the shank bone, is to the right above. Right? It's the right hand of the first segel. Correct? Noigam makachas, we learned this earlier, chelik matzavar oiv, to take part of this shank bone, v'tzoylim aleish, and broil it on a fire, be'erev Shabbos. This is a zeicha l'korban Pesach, this is a memory to the korban Pesach, Chagiga shrei makrivim, the korban Pesach Chagiga shrei makrivim bizman shebeis hamikdash eikaim, the korban Pesach Chagiga, which was brought during Pesach when we had a Beis Hamikdash. V'chaticha basazu mechunah b'shem zraya. It's called zraya al shem she'agula b'mitzrayim. Why? Because the regula mitzrayim haya bezroa nituya, with an outstretched arm. So we call this zraya because it reminds us of the korban Pesach Chagiga. Hashem took us out, etc. Kuf Yud Beis. we're careful not to eat it. Even tomorrow during the day, you're in the mood of a little shank bone, a little fliegel, and it's burnt, it looks yummy. Don't eat it. L'shem marchoka, you want to distance yourself from it, dinyu l'karban Pesach, because otherwise it's compared to, it could look like you're eating for the karban Pesach, which you're not allowed to. So basically what happens to that, it gets thrown out, right? Which is interesting, it's like baltashkas, but really it's not baltashkas, it's been used for a mitzvah, so it's fine. Ketzat, beya b'tzat smoil. Now we go to the left of the first segel, we have the egg. Kufyud Gimel, habeim uvashelis achitzkash. It should be a hard-boiled egg. V'hi lezecha karban chagiga. Another sacrifice we brought b'zman shabbos kayim was the karban chagiga, the festival offering. So the egg is demonstrative, symbolic of that. Kufyud Dalet. We keep the egg on the kaira while it's in the shell. The Rebbe was particular that there should be no crack in the shell of the egg. Although he had a hard time keeping it on his plate because it would roll. That's what I told you, But we're careful, we keep the egg. In other words, if you were to peel the shell, it's more sticky, it would stay put more. We didn't do that. We don't do it that way. We keep the shell on even though it starts rolling in the middle and going for a walk. Charoises b'tzad yamin lamata. The charoises is on the right side of below the lower right of the kaira. We make it from apples and sweet pears or whatever. Vagusim tchunim and walnut. You don't put cinnamon into it. We don't use cinnamon on Pesach because kshash taruv is chametz. We're concerned maybe there's a mixture of chametz. It's important if you eat out, which really on Pesach a Lubavitcher should not eat out. It's really not. It's not the way Chabad should do things. Even your best friend invites you. Thank you very much. I'll see you next Shabbos. Pesach is not a time. If you're going there for a farbrengen or whatever, and you have an apple, a full apple, and a cup of wine from a bottle, that's acceptable. But eating from others on Pesach is halachically it's not the best idea, and minhag Chabad is not. We don't do that. So what he's saying here, the charoises you make from this, and so I was saying about the cinnamon and spices. People, they're minhagim. So if you keep those minhagim, not eating them, and you go to someone else, you don't know how they made the fish. A little spices here, a little spices there, and frankly, it's done this way. And even Chabad catered and. Restaurants and hotels and Chabad houses, because they have mostly not Chabad people. What are they going to do? Give you a piece of fish that tastes bland? The customers, they'll be upset. So you have to know that. And if your standard is not to eat it, you either get yourself a piece, whatever you make, whatever. It's an issue that. We've never gone away, and I haven't sought to be, a rabbi at one of these Seders all these years because of these issues. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to keep your standards when you have to be in someone else's facility, either home or hotel. And even if it's not easy, and I'm not pointing any fingers, but it's not easy. The truth is... The truth is, you cannot keep the strictest standards in a hotel. I don't care what they tell you. It is so difficult. And it's impossible. That's the truth. Unless you make your own food and bring your own food and make your own food in the hotel, then probably you could do it. Yes, now, Yanis, yes.
One time I was in Berkeley, ready for Rabbi Welton.
Yeah.
And we did the Bar Kasher of Moon in California. The Federation wanted us to make the Pesach Seder at the Anna Hotel, 5-star hotel.
Okay.
And I was one of the Masagisim.
Okay.
It was a nightmare. But I'll tell you, the food tasted very good.
Yeah. You know, I'm not saying I'm not saying Chas v'Sholom that it's not Pesach, Dick. I didn't say that, but you know, no garlic, no cinnamon. You know, these things you could forget about it. You know, so that's why in your own house. I don't want to say one of my relatives. We were once at a Seder years ago, you know, and one of my relatives they made something and it had some garlic or whatever in it, you know. She didn't keep that standard, the Lubavitcher, but that's not something she kept, you know, for whatever reason. And my wife did keep it, and it's a problem, you know. It's different because the kalim it's very, very difficult. So the best. What?
But Lamaisa, you see that within Chabad, like we know when it comes to Pesach, there's a wide range of how people, you know, what people do. I mean, there is relatively speaking, right?
And yes, and if you know the people personally and they keep the standards, your standards, okay. But even then, there is a rule. We don't mix. That's a rule.
Yeah.
You begin from there. Yeah. But let's say you're invited to your mechutanim, okay? And you know it's like it's not going to be, you know. So first of all, the real Lubavitchers will know not to invite you because we don't mix.
Right. I know. Is it where is it brought? It's brought that I don't know if it's in Hayom Yom. It's brought that the minute Chabad, you don't invite, you let people go and like.
No, Moshe, I think you're talking about a bris.
No. I'm speaking of Pesach.
A Pesach? Okay, it could be something. I don't remember.
You let people help themselves, whatever they want, whatever they don't want.
Okay, so yeah, but even if that's the case, you have if the standard is your standard and higher. Okay, you know what I'm saying? If you know, but you have to really know that. You know.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, okay, let's go on. Now he says, "V'simin al zeh b'loshen Ashkenaz." Yiddish is Rosh Tevas shel Even, a stone. Aleph is apples. Baran is pears. Nun is nisin, nuts, which is the three basic ingredients before the wine for charosis. Hacharosis tzricha liyas it should be thick, zeichel etit, because it's a commemoration to the cement that our ancestors were slave to do. You see, you don't add now wine. Rak, Moshe says it clearly. Before in the bowl, before you're ready to dip into the charosis, soften it with a little red wine. So the emphasis is it should be a little red wine because of makas dam. Karpas. B'tzad smoil at the left side and the bottom. L'karpas menagenu likach arakos and take chaticha batzel chai, a piece of fresh garlic, a tapuach adom amavushul, or a cooked potato. He says kishenechlashu adoiris. When people became weaker, we started to take a potato because the people were uncomfortable eating raw onion. The Rebbe Marash was not satisfied with this approach. The Rebbe Omer Tapuach Adom Lekarpas Zeh Shayach Lenoshim. The Rebbe says the idea of a potato that you should give to the women. The men should eat the raw onion. Here it is.
For karpas. For karpas, men should eat raw onion.
What?
And then, so what?
What do I put on the Seder plate? You could put both. Put a piece of onion and put a piece of karpas, of a potato. If you don't want to do that, because you don't want it to look like more than 5-6 items, have the onion, because you're the man, and then give them from potato. Again, listen, this is the way the Rebbe did it. Doesn't mean that you have to do it this way.
You're saying that the potato is like serving a man for l'chaim, like Weiber Shermashka.
Something like that. Karpas unetrikin, the acronym for the word karpas is Samach Perach. 600,000 were forced with hard labor. This corresponds to the 600,000 Yidden that had to have hard work. Look what he says. The Rebbe on his Kaira plate, we're on the last line, would put a large piece of onion in its shell. Or he put an entire onion. That's very interesting. I haven't done that. Usually we put a peeled piece of onion. Okay, I have to stop here. Now, you want to learn Sunday? I could learn Sunday, maybe even Monday. Are you open? You want to learn those days, or it's no good for you in the afternoon?
I think for me, we can try Sunday. I'm not Sunday, Monday. I'm going to be in the house helping.
So then
I'm not sure.
Okay, so then I guess we'll just we'll say right now there's no shear. If there'll be an interest, you let me know. We'll see.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. It would be still at the same time, like 1:35, right? 1:35. Eretz Yisrael time.
I could do it. No, Sunday. I could do it another time too. I could do it another time. I just I like to keep the time, but I could do Sunday. I could do.
We should keep the time.
Yeah, but I'm saying if no one's coming at that time, then there's a better time. I'll do a better time. Why don't you send a note, maybe? But it sounds like because you're busy in the house, which you really can't commit to a time. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a little.
Yeah.
Let me.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, let's be in touch anyway next week. If you have questions or things, remember you're on page 16. I would, if you're able to, I would continue reading. It's not difficult Hebrew, to go through as much of this as possible. You have all week, and I think you'll see some very interesting things here. That
sure.
And then if you have questions, you can WhatsApp me and I'll try to respond because I have it.
Okay.
And meanwhile, everyone should have a cultural Pesach. Also, so after Pesach, we're going to start the Sunday after because I'm coming back from Florida and I have to then go to Pennsylvania. So I can't do that week. I'm too busy that week.
Okay.
So this Yirtz Hashem, basically it's a week after you guys finish Pesach that we'll resume learning. Okay?
Okay. And are we going to learn that kuntras?
Yes. And right. Well, that's where we're starting. I wanted to thank you. The Kloli Achinuch V'Adracha. Please make sure you have that either all in Hebrew, English. Now, if you didn't tell people they didn't get to buy it for whatever, in the back of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Sichos, 1943, Tafshin Gimel, it's printed in the back of that sefer.
Oh, in the Svarim that we have, which Chelik Gimel?
No, not Chelik. Sefer HaSichos Tafshin Gimel of the Frierdiker Rebbe. There's Tafshin Aleph, 1941, 1942. In the back of 43, they printed years ago. It's over there, so you should know that. You could find it over there. It's only in Hebrew there.
Okay. I think for our Chevron, maybe Yonason has that. I don't have that.
Okay, but you have the sefer.
Yeah, I bought the sefer.
So what's the problem? So you have the sefer.
There's no problem.
Right, and I'm saying, if you have the sefer, the best is to use that sefer. We can all have the same sefer. Yonason, maybe if someone's going to Kvar Chabad or something, or speak to Aaron Schmidt, maybe he can get you the sefer. It's from the Heritage series. I forget that Chabad put out Klole Hachinuch Vadracha was redone very nicely with Hebrew on one side, English on the other side. Very well done. That would be a very good text, not expensive to have.
Jonathan, do you have it, Jonathan?
I don't think so. What's the name in English?
Principles of Education and Guidance, I think.
Okay.
Moshe, maybe you can later take a picture of the cover and send Yonason a picture, or send everyone.
I'll do that.
Okay, meanwhile, kosher freilich and Pesach to everyone. Sei gesund and stay healthy and safe. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye. Good Shabbos. Take care. Bye-bye.